Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Metro Last Light Redux Good Ending walkthrough, and this is mission 18, also known as Undercity. And if you want to switch any weapons, I recommend you do so. I'm gonna switch my Kalashnikov for a Kalash 2012 because that holds 40 bullets in its clip instead of the Kalash's, I think it has 30. And I also think that the Kalash 2012 has a higher fire rate. I'm not completely sure about that, but I like to switch out for that. And if you want to, you can also sell your Shambler. I will be using it in one fight in this mission, but then I will switch it out for an Upsats. You know, that giant Gatling gun looking shotgun.
Have you ever been to the catacombs?
So I used the Shambler, as I said, in one fight. I think you should do so as well, but if you want to, you can sell it here. Get a few extra military bullets and you will get an Upsats later, which I will use for the duration of this walkthrough. And you saw a horrible transition there. That's me trimming out a short cutscene. And when you get down here, start this little cassette player. It will give you some information about Lesnitsky, who was a Spartan ranger but apparently has become a turncoat. And he has kidnapped Anna, the son of a bitch, so we're gonna chase him down. And when you have listened to it, the entire tape, you will also unlock a karma point, which is always nice. And we are gonna unlock another karma point quite soon, because when we move around this corner, you're gonna see some shadows of ghosts, and you will hear a church bell. When you hear that bell, stand completely still and wait for a few seconds, and do not fire your weapon. That will unlock another good karma point, that probably for witnessing the dead and remembering them, something philosophical like that. And this place is really weird. This is where the game goes completely supernatural. And this is the place I was talking about. So move forward a little bit and we hear the church bells. And we just wait, and then we get the karma point. And I will also unlock, as I said, a second karma point very soon. I think it's unlocked by not firing any bullets here. I'm not completely sure what unlocks it, but it will unlock when we get to this elevator. And in this elevator is where I'm gonna use the Shambler. I think that's the only time I use this gun in this level. And as you can see, this level is quite long, and quite a bit of it is taken up by the boss fight in this level, because we have taken down one boss, that giant shrimp in Nightfall, and here we're gonna take down our second boss. After you complete this level and you've taken down the boss, and we got another karma point right there, have no idea why. But when you take out the boss in this level, which is a mutant, sort of. She doesn't look like anything in this game, and she can be quite intimidating first time you see her. Then you will unlock a trophy called Big Momma, because that's what she's called according to legend. In the little cutscene that I trimmed out, they talk a little bit about her. And she is more myth than confirmed animal, but we will become very aware of the fact that she is very much real. And the funny thing about that fight is that you can take her out with a single pistol bullet. I will do it in this guide, and I think, I'm not completely sure, that in the first game, or in the original version of this game, you would get a trophy for doing that, taking her out with one single bullet. But you have to do it at the end of the fight, so I'm gonna talk about that more when we get there. And very soon you will see a big herd or flock or whatever you call it of Watchmen passing by. We will unlock another karma point by not firing at them. Just sit still and wait for them to move on their way, and that karma point will unlock. I think we're coming up to it very soon. I was being very cautious because I know that this level actually has some quite hard fights. Yes, this is the part I was talking about. Just sit down here. You saw the karma point unlock, and we're gonna wait for them to move on their merry way. It does take a few seconds, but live and let live. And we're gonna swing around to the right into this old sanctum, sort of memory place for the ones that have fallen, and we unlock 2 karma points by going in here. And I like to light up these candles. I'm not quite sure if that does anything, and you see another ghost going behind that pillar. And the main reason for going in there is getting those 2 karma points, actually. But as I said, this chapter has some pretty tough fights, and I have done my best to make them as simple as possible. The first one of those 2 hard fights is actually the hardest one, because I found a really good strategy for the second one. And hopefully you've followed my guide and picked up all the weapons in the bandits level. If you remember, I talked about the fact that you can run back and sell all their weapons and get shitloads of money. I'm holding over 1,000 bullets right now. Here is where we get the upsets, and this is the first fight. A bunch of Watchmen will spawn in, and I like to just put my back against this wall and let them die. And you saw first this weapon went into full auto. That's what happens when you press the L2 button. Sorry. Because you cannot aim down sight with this rifle. If you press L2, it will instead unload the entire clip in a full auto blast sequence, sort of. So always use R2 or the right button. That will engage the single fire mechanic. I'm no expert with guns. I'm not quite sure what it's called, but right button single shot, left button full auto. And that fight can be trolly. Sometimes you can get really unlucky and all of them manage to swarm you at the same time. But that's what I think is so good about the upsats being there, because it has quite decent damage output, and it also has a big clip, because the Shambler only takes 6 shells and the upsats has 20. And now I've switched out for my military bullets, and I recommend you do so as well, because now we are going into the second fight, or the first part of the second fight. And this is not super tricky. It can be, you can get unlucky here, just like in all the fights of this level, because the enemies are quite abundant here. And I recommend you focus on the normal Watchman first. Fire on those bats whenever you get an opening between the onslaughts of regular Watchmen, because their echolocating attack can be very annoying. It disorients Artyom. But your main focus should be on the regular Watchman. And before we head back up the stairs, we're gonna venture a little bit further in, and we're gonna check out a corpse that's around here to the right, I think. I didn't have time. This is once again one of those videos that I didn't have time to preview. Yes, here is the corpse. We're gonna check him out and pick up another good karma point for reminiscing about the fallen stalkers that have become victims of these Watchmen. And now we can head back up. And the fight coming up, the very next one. I had so much trouble with that in the beginning. But that's the good part about recordings and editing, that I could experiment. And I did try some different strategies, and I came up with a new strategy, because my old one was basically running around this place in full panic mode, trying to take out everything I could. Which works some of the times. Doesn't always do that though. But I came up with this strategy, that I wedge myself into this little alcove, whatever you want to call it. Gonna pop a medkit. Because it's quite interesting, because we're gonna summon an elevator. Just wanted to make sure that there are none left. And when you summon it, you will trigger a second wave of Watchmen, and it is a big wave. There are a lot of these assholes coming our way. So as soon as you hit this switch to summon it, run back to where we stood. Right where we fall into this area. Do not walk, do not crawl, run. Because you want to get here before they start spawning in. Because this is a great place to bottleneck them, and a lot of them will come down right there, straight in front of you. And it's quite insane. When we get to the end of this fight, it's not super long, but you will see there are so many Watchmen in this fight. I was actually starting to think about is this an what's it called? Never-ending spawn? Infinite spawn was the word I was looking for. Because I know the elevator is coming up slowly. But I was starting to think, like, is this an infinite spawn that I have to stand by the elevator and get in as fast as possible when it comes up, like with the ferry in the bandits level? But no. There is actually an end to this. There are just shitloads of mutants. And this is one of those fights that just outstays its welcome a little bit. But I think that's the last one. Nope. Always one straggler. One guy that doesn't get the invitation to the party. Or he gets the invitation, it says 8 o'clock, and he comes around like 9:30. You know, that asshole that can't get with the program. But that fight may have seemed quite easy right now, but it's deceptively hard. But as long as you use your military bullets, or you can use the absats as well, it's not as effective. Because the absats has quite a long reload animation. That's the only drawback of this weapon, I think. But it's usually like that with weapons in games. When you have something that is really powerful, packs a brutal punch, and can stop anything from a mouse to a Sherman tank, the drawback of that power is that it takes fucking ages to reload it. Which makes sense, because that balances the game. It would be quite unbalanced if he could reload that in a split second and just continue letting it rip. But this is your last chance to pick up things before Big Momma enters, and here we have her. That is an ugly ass bitch. And she is very cranky. She hasn't had her daily ration of stalker, and you are on the menu. So how do you approach this fight? Well, this fight is actually super easy. all these pillars need to come down, and she is the one to take them down. After she has destroyed all of them, one of the walls will crumble and she will flee into the next area. We're gonna rinse and repeat this strategy. So all you need to do is try to put some ground between you and her and hide behind these pillars, and she will run into them. And usually she runs into it, it crumbles a little bit, and then she beats it with one of her giant armored claw things. And that will make it come down. And here we have the last one. And as soon as that falls, that wall will crumble and she will run into the next room. In that room, there are also 2 watchmen. So we break out our trusty upsats. And there is always only 2 watchmen. No more enemies will spawn in, so focus your attention at them immediately. You saw a transition there because I died on my first attempt. I got really unlucky, I lost track of where the hell she went, and her in combination with these 2 made me die. I took a hit from one of them and she came tumbling in right afterwards when I was close to death, and that put me down. But now they are gone, and I was getting a little bit panicky because I lost track of her this time as well. Wasn't 100% sure where the hell she went. And that is the only problem you may face in this fight. As soon as you've taken out those 2, this gets really simple. Just keep an eye on where she is at all times. And I'm gonna switch over to my pistol because I really like the fact that you take her down with a single bullet from your weakest weapon. Because she is armor plated, she is huge, she can take a beating. I don't even know if you can actually shoot her to death. Or if you're forced to let her tear this entire place apart. Will be quite interesting to find out, but I think you have to let her do this, because when this fight is over, you can see the water is starting to seep in through the roof. I got really lucky there that for some reason she just bumped me to the side instead of killing me, or at least put me into critical. But as you can see, water is starting to seep in from the ceiling as she weakens the structure of this old cave. And that is crucial for you being able to get out of this place, because when she has taken down this entire place and we have killed her, this place is gonna get flooded and a hole is gonna open in the floor, which will suck you out and send you into the next level actually. But as you can see, I'm not even taking a hit from her. I'm just always keeping her. Whoops. Embarrassing. I'm sitting here cocky as hell, like, yeah, I'm not even taking a hit. 2 seconds later, smack straight in the face. Yeah, well, shit happens. But make sure that she has taken down every piece of structure before you fire at her, and I think that was the last piece. And we hit her with 1 bullet. And down she goes, and that is the end of the rhino. So I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.